This guy solved the YouTube algorithm, making him a part of an elite group of creators, averaging more than 1 million views per video. Yet, nobody seemed to notice. At first glance, his videos might seem like silly internet pranks, but after digging a little deeper, I realized there's more to this than first meets the eye. In fact, what if I told you hidden beneath the surface of this video lies the blueprint for the next generation of viral content, and it revolves around a two-part equation that he has been following ever since.
Definitely thinking about the title first. I think a thumbnail, can always be made as good as that can always come slightly secondary.
Yeah. But if you can't see an idea in a title, you won't pursue it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, but that's simple. Well, not really, because he follows 3 metrics before proceeding with the idea, which lays the foundation for the storytelling and editing. And these are
kind of these 3 things. So stakes, what the stakes? Why does the audience care that you're doing what you're doing?
For example, in this video, the stakes were whether he can get his friend a date. But what sets him apart is taking that challenge over the top. And if you check out his videos, you will notice this. Because this is the pub line that makes his videos what they are. And finally, the payoff. For this, just ask this question to yourself.
What is the payoff, and is the payoff good enough for the person who has clicked on that video to feel like they've got their value from spending 10 minutes with you?
But this is just 25% of the packaging. The other 25% goes to the thumbnail. And remember, all of these elements go together to create a successful video, so you need to allocate your time carefully between these, as Mr. Best says.
People don't click, they don't watch.
But what do they know about thumbnails that we don't?
The consistent theme of the best thumbnails that I've made myself and I've worked on with other people and then just YouTube as a whole is...
When most of us try to make a thumbnail, we think, oh yeah, let's just copy what the big creators are doing and focus on the design. And this is where we couldn't be more wrong. While we spend most of our time perfecting the position of our images, changing the fonts, and adding more effects, the most successful YouTubers spend their time nailing the psychology behind the click. And this is what Patty Galloway, the most sought-after YouTube strategist in the world, says about it.
A thumbnail to me is at least 80, maybe 90% the psychology of the click, and then maybe 10, 20% the actual design of the thumbnail.
Because at the end of the day, no matter what you think, the reason behind why you clicked on any video is to satisfy your curiosity gap. And this is the gap between what we currently know and what we want to know. So when we are introduced to a thumbnail like this, we crave closure. And this is what the founder of YouTube's fastest growing channel in the UK and Max Fosh friend said about it.
But yeah, it just is curiosity evoking. Even the chicken, I don't know how, but they've made the chicken look distressed. So it just looks entertaining and curiosity evoking.
But how can we create that curiosity? Well, there are 5 simple methods to achieve that. The first one is moment thumbnail, which Mr. Best had a lot of success with, according to his strategist.
The consistent theme of the best thumbnails that I've made myself and I've worked on with other people and then just YouTube as a whole is moments before something happens. So you're clicking to almost like play that moment. It's almost as if it was like a paused moment from the video.
Why is it that good, you ask? These thumbnails offer a glimpse into the peak moment of a video, which in return captivates your mind to stick around for that moment to happen. And because it captures a lot of tension and emotion, it becomes near irresistible to not click. Narrative thumbnails also generate curiosity by provoking your interest or connection. But instead of focusing on a specific moment, narrative thumbnails help build the story of a video, which is why it is used a lot for documentary videos. They usually do this by introducing a character or subject that the video is about. Outcome thumbnail features a desired result, whether it's a financial aspect or a skill you want to learn. But the curiosity question remains the same. How can I do it? The higher the demand for a particular outcome, the greater the intensity of curiosity. Before and after thumbnails not only showcase the desired outcome, but also include an initial stage, fostering a greater sense of relatability. The more relatable the transformation, the more impactful it becomes. And lastly, alluring thumbnails, they draw attention from the natural urge to experience something new. And while they tend to be the most bizarre sometimes, it becomes the most effective when it's combined with something we are familiar with. But before you add all of that, consider the brand that you want to build and the story you want to tell. So before you go ahead and open Photoshop, consider, what is the solution they need to know? And if you are struggling to come up with a good thumbnail, then your video idea is probably not a killer idea in the first place.
And I get this all the time. You know, I've got this amazing idea. It's gonna be so funny. I just can't think of a way to thumbnail that. And I'm like, well, then it's not a good YouTube idea, unfortunately.
Once you've set the groundwork for your thumbnail, Grabbing someone's attention through the curiosity gap you've created requires them to first notice it. Standing out amidst the multitude of creators vying for your audience's attention calls for a compelling pattern interrupter, with colors being the most commonly effective choice. When used properly, it can make your thumbnail pop. And what I mean by that is its ability to create strong contrast. And no, not this type of contrast. I mean this. And yes, a lot of you don't give color much attention, but colors can guide the viewer's eye directly to the most important part of the thumbnail. But how do we do that? We first need to understand its composition. It has 3 values: hue, saturation, and lightness. When mixing 2 opposite values, contrast is created. In luminosity, mixing the lights and darks creates contrast. In this thumbnail by CoffeeZilla, the curiosity generated by Logan Paul's face and the supporting text are the complete opposite luminosity from the rest of the background. And if you pay close attention, you will notice that the brightness on his face is elevated, which led us to instantly be drawn to his face. If instead we used the original photo, it wouldn't be strong enough to get the click. The contrast achieved through saturation arises by blending regions with vibrant colors and those with more muted tones. And the best example of that is this thumbnail by Fern. The focal point of this thumbnail is Coca-Cola. By converting the surrounding elements to grayscale while maintaining vibrant, full saturation for the logo and using a vivid red hue, it immediately grabs your attention. Lastly, let's talk about hue contrast. This type of contrast arises from employing complementary colors, which are hues positioned opposite each other on the color wheel. When these contrasting colors are placed alongside each other in the thumbnail, they generate a vibrant and eye-catching effect.
Subscribers don't matter, views don't matter. I mean, they do, but all that comes, everything you want as a creator comes from making the best videos possible, and thumbnails. You're not gonna have some random dude when you're walking down the street of Paris go like, yo, that's the guy with the great thumbnails, you know? They're gonna be like, no, that's the guy with the phenomenal videos that.
So what is Max Fosh's secret to making such videos? Well, it's all about answering the big why in the first 60 seconds of the video, and this guy has a unique strategy. He uses 3 formats to kick off those initial moments.
So we sometimes have hook boom, hook's position, or hook and exposition. And then
wait, explain the boom?
Well, a boom is literally a sound effect after the hook, which is around 5 to 15 seconds, that contains a teaser of the ending. And the next shots are for outlining the setup of the video, which he calls the exposition. Now let's take a look at one of his videos to see these elements in action.
If I made a Hollywood trailer for my friend Dave's dating profile, would he get more dates?
Medically, I'm very unique. I have a lot of medical problems.
Would his DMs blow up? But who is Dave? Well, he's a wonderful guy. He edits my short form videos.
You going out tonight, Dave?
Hell yeah.
And he's looking for
the next 2 formats. When it comes to the hook position, he takes you straight into the action by describing the video setup with visuals that perfectly sync with every word.
This is me with 4 SAS soldiers.
I was hoping that you guys would do most of the heavy lifting.
Some of the deadliest men in the world.
And finally, the hook/exposition. This is fairly simple since it follows the same concept as the first format, just without the sound effect.
But how do you justify showing me the end of the video in the beginning and expecting me to stay?
Hopefully with the hook, it provides another question as to, okay, I know that he's done this, what he said in the title, so I've earned the click there. They've clicked on, has he hatched a fish from caviar? You see the fish. Oh my God, he's done it. Hopefully then we want the audience to then be thinking, okay, but how?
Now this is just for keeping the retention above the typical 60% at the beginning, to keep his audience captivated throughout the video, even though
most of your videos, the hook is the ending.
Yeah.
He creates highs and lows to ensure that you stay emotionally invested from start to finish. And it all comes from creating stories and using the right music. On that note, you can sign up to my free newsletter to get the research paper and framework from Max and future creators that I will be researching. For those craving a more hands-on experience, mark your calendar for my live workshop on February 17th. I'll be sharing valuable insights on enhancing your retention graph and refining your sound design. And at the end, there will be a live Q&A session to address your struggles and roadblocks. The first 10 tickets are up for exclusive price, while the rest will be priced at $69.99. Once these limited slots are filled, the course will be open for enrollment at twice this rate. And with that, let's move on to his secret sauce: context and visual evidence. Or from the audience perspective, interpret it
to get to know Dave a little bit better.
Live it.
Hello.
What do you do with Max?
So I am one of his editors.
But why is it so important to have them in your story? Well, context is essential for shaping the narrative of the story, while visual evidence creates credibility and fills in the gaps for the narrative. To understand better, let's move a couple minutes, right around here. He outlines the mission of this trailer, followed by a question,
whether you had any special skills.
Then he gives you Dave answer.
You ride fast cars, ride motorbikes, anything like that?
I can't drive.
Okay.
So no.
And this type of momentum helps build the tension right up until the payoff. Now, if you want to learn more about storytelling, you can follow me on Twitter or click on this video right here.